Hey, Beak Squad, David with you tonight. Thanks for joining me. I was looking through the comments here, and so many of you are from all over the U.S., maybe all over the world. So great to see you guys, North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, all over the place. Thanks for joining me tonight, and appreciate you being here for my live stream. It's always fun. I especially love being out here. This is where I like to do a lot of my videos here. I've done videos in front of my other studio inside the building for many years. If you don't know it, if you're new to my beekeeping channel, I've been on YouTube since 2008, and I've been making videos on beekeeping since 2008. That's a long time. I've been around beekeeping for a long time. I've been making beekeeping videos forever. I am so old. I am so old that I mean, it's just insane, right? I've been around even when the Dead Sea was just sick. That's how long I've been around. But it's fun to be with you guys. I've learned a lot over all of my years of beekeeping, and it's fun to be with you guys tonight. Got a lot of good things to share with you. I know you guys have a lot of questions, and some of you have already made some contributions to the cause, to the channel here tonight. I appreciate that so much. I see Richard has uh, given a donation. Thanks, Richard, tonight for that. And also the at Zetech made a donation as well. So appreciate you guys always leaving super chats and stuff like that tonight. It helps a lot. Sometimes we forget that it costs money to make a live stream, believe it or not. So I appreciate all the donations that you guys are making in the live streams each time we go live. Helps out a lot. We're looking at this new shirt I'm wearing. It says Beak Squad. And I talked about it'd be cool to have a Beak Squad shirt the other night on a live stream. And Robbie was watching, and Robbie and his wife actually, I think they live in Indiana, wrote a nice letter and said, "Hey, we could do the T-shirt if you're interested." And he sent me a sample for me and Sherry to wear tonight. And they're Beak Squad tees. And if you're interested, let us know in the comments, because the last thing we want to do is print a bunch of T-shirts and can't get rid of them. But some of you might want to wear those. It'd be fun to wear them when you go to a beekeeping conference or something. You could wear them. We could all get together with our T-shirts on. So leave a comment. Let us know if having a Beak Squad T-shirt is something that you might be interested in. We have the Beak Squad coffee mugs, and we have not sold that many, actually. So I think we're going to be stuck with Beak Squad coffee mugs. I think I'm going to have to drink 2 cups of coffee every morning from a different Beak Squad cup just to put them to use in the morning. We've got boxes of these. But if you're interested, you can go online to our website. We have a YouTube merch channel at honeybeesonline.com, and you can actually go on there and order some things like this. And we have stickers like this too, and I love stickers a lot. But anyway, we may see how you guys respond to the T-shirt idea. If you like them, we'll get in touch with Robbie and his wife and may have them make up some T-shirts for us. Thanks, Robbie. By the way, when you wrote that nice letter to me and Sherry, I really appreciate the honey as well. You sent us a jar of honey, and you can never have too much honey. Although this year our bees have been making a ton of honey. Good to be back from EAS. A lot of you joined my live stream on last Thursday when I was at EAS, worn out and tired. And we actually had a great live stream with some of my friends out at EAS. That was a lot of fun. So it's always good to be with other beekeepers. Lots going on in the beekeeping community. Really is. Things are happening all the time, right? And it's a lot of fun talking with beekeepers and seeing what's going on. I just think it's a ball. I've enjoyed beekeeping so much. Today, I was outside working all day long on another video. I was hoping to get it posted today, but it's taking a lot longer to edit the video. That's how videos go, people. If you don't realize it, I can spend 8 hours gathering footage that turns out to be 11-minute video that you post online. It's like work all day, you work 8 hours for 11 minutes. It's just crazy. But I'm really excited about this video. I'm not going to tell you anything about it. I want it to be a surprise for you tomorrow when I post it. I'm going to post it early in the morning. I usually post my videos late at night. YouTube and analytics tells me that you watch my videos between 6 o'clock at night and 11 o'clock at night. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's the best time for me to post videos. But I'm going to do a little different. I'm going to post it in the morning. Maybe some of you will be around to watch it. So be watching for that video. It's a lot of fun. Took me some time to film it. And I actually did a study comparing two things. And I think you're going to get a big kick out of that video when you watch it tomorrow. But tonight, I'm just going to share just, hey, it's great to be with you. Share some time together and answer piles of questions that I've already seen in the comment section. I'm going to answer those questions for you tonight. And Sherry, I can just start answering questions whenever you want to start handing me some. Hey, Richard. Again, thank you, Richard, for your donation. I appreciate that so much. What is your method to lure a swarm? What are the odds of catching one now? Good question, Richard. I have not gotten too excited about catching swarms or luring them. Many people have. Many people buy different kind of swarm traps. They set them up in strategic locations, and then they put some type of a swarm catcher pheromone in there. And some of those really work well. And some people will use the exact ones and they don't ever catch a swarm. While other people use the exact ones, they catch a swarm. I think some things to consider is make sure you have some swarm catcher lure smell to it in there. And also you got to place it kind of high. You need to place it, I don't know, 10, 20 feet up in the air. But I've done it before and bees just ignore it and they go up in the top of the tree. So this really isn't a proven way. You can do some things to maybe help with it, but it's sort of like fishing. Unless you put your bait on the end of your pole, unless you put it where the fish are, probably not going to catch anything. So it stands to reason that the time of the year needs to be right. The location needs to be where some bees are going to swarm. And then you've got to lure them into that with the odor. So kind of make it look like a space that they would enjoy going into. About the size of a 5-gallon bucket is what bees really like as to go into a new swarm. So hope that's helpful, Richard. But yeah, I need to put more swarm traps out. But I just hope my hives don't swarm every year. So Foxhaven Hives, please explain why a long lane hive can't use medium frames. Oh, a long lane hive can't use medium frames if you insulate under the hive, but also have ventilation. I am so confused by that question. Let me read it again. Okay, a long lane hive, that means one that's kind of like a horizontal. And why you can't use medium frames if you insulate under the hive, but also have ventilation. I have no idea what that means. So you're insulating under the hive, but also have ventilation. To be honest with you, I'm not that familiar with long lane hives. I guess it has a lot to do with the depth that you're talking about, that the medium frames, why a long lane hives can't use medium frames if you insulate under the hive, but also have ventilation. Yeah, I'm going to have to pass on that one. I am not going to be any help on that one. I have a horizontal hive that I'm trying to think through how to insulate it, but that hive has the deep frames in it, or they have the Langstroth deep frames in it. So that's working out pretty good for me. But I'm still kind of contemplating what I'm going to do. I usually don't wrap my hives. It's really cold in Illinois. And so far, I wrap some for video purposes, but I really don't wrap my hives. They stay really toasty. They're very populated and they have the winter bee kinds on there. And so they stay warm eating the food. So I don't have to worry about too much about wrapping my hives up. Winter bee kinds are on sale. You guys are buying them out so fast, but I saw they were back online today. Hey, thanks for the donation. I appreciate it so much. See if I'm any better at answering this question. David, how can I be a better judge of knowing when to pull honey? I keep missing the capped honey right before the dearth and misjudging amount of supers needed. Constant rains and high beetles. Yeah, wow. Good question. How can I better judge knowing when to pull honey? Here's my thoughts about pulling honey. I assume you mean, your hive's doing really well, got a lot of honey supers on, 1 or 2 honey supers. So I like to keep, now I live in Illinois where it gets really cold, stays cold for months. I'm on the prairie, it gets really windy. My bees need some food. I feed them winter bee kinds as insurance in case they run out of food. But I like to give my bees, have them go through the winter with sometimes 1 medium super that's capped over full of honey. Leave that on there for them. Anything that I get above that, then I'll take off and harvest it. So the best way to judge knowing when to pull your honey would be, is it capped over and do they have enough on there? Now, as we get into a time like this is really tricky, by the way. In August, we're all wondering, are we going to have another nectar flow? Not uncommon at all to have a fall nectar flow. My bees were like rocking it today. They had a little dearth last week, but man, they were really going after it. We had a little bit of rain, and now things kind of are ticking up a little bit. And so you wonder, oh no, should I put a super back on so they can fill up a super maybe? So you just don't know. There's no way to tell. We don't know how the flowers are providing nectar from their nectaries. We just don't know. Or is it just going to be pollen? It's all guesswork with bees. There's no cookbook science approach to beekeeping. It's a matter of just watching, observing what your bees are going in, put a super on there, and then watch how quickly they might fill it up to make that decision. I've had a lot of supers filled up in August, and I've had some where they didn't touch them. Pretty tough to know for sure. Hey, Ruth, how are you? Can you give me a way to move 2 hives within 100 feet quickly? Oh, I wish I could, Ruth. It's so sad. You can't move. You cannot move 2 hives 100 feet quickly. It's just not going to work. Shoot, last year I was making some videos. I was doing a little experimenting with moving hives inches at a time. I found that if I went more than 2 to 3 to 4 inches a day, if I went past 6 inches, it confused the bees too much. I was trying to scoot them just a little bit at a time, sideways, a little bit at a time each day. I just gave up. It was going to take forever. Now, you can move them forward and backwards a few more inches because, they can see coming in where the hive is. It may just be a little more forward or backward, but sideways is the killer. So unless you can move them, Ruth, 2 to 3, 4 miles away, leave them there a couple of weeks, and then move them back to where you want them, it's going to be hard to move them quickly. I wish there was. We should make some way of doing that. But so far, all these years of beekeeping, nobody's come up with a way to do that. Nope, not yet. DH just got some hives. Wow. Going to give it a try next year. When is a good time to introduce bees to the hive? DH, I'm not sure where you live. Maybe in the U.S. I'm not sure what state you live in, like far south or far north. Safe way to answer the question is, since I don't know where you live, always introduce your bees in the spring, just around the time that flowers start to bloom. You know what I mean? A week before dandelion is a perfect time to install a package, perfect time to install your nucleus. A week before dandelions start blooming is pretty much safe from big Arctic blasts of air, Alberta clippers to kill your bees. But I'm glad you got your hives already. Now you just need to educate yourself, DH. Spend time learning everything you can about bees. You'll be a much happier camper. The more you know about bees, the more you will enjoy keeping bees. Those of you that are new to beekeeping and you kind of getting your feet wet, but you haven't been, spending a lot of time getting educated, you can get frustrated pretty quickly trying to make beekeeping decisions. So yeah, about springtime, introduce your bees in the spring. Good question. Hey, Jason, how are you? Yep. Hi, David. Happy to be back in B Team 6. I'm feeding now after a 3-week feeding break. Okay, took a little break, trying to simulate brood rearing for winter. At what point do I switch to winter bee kind feeding? Good question, Jason. I'm glad you answered that. I spoke on this at EAS on feeding bees through the seasons. And the way I look at it is I don't mind feeding liquid 1-to-1 sugar water with the additives in it all the way until the bees won't take it anymore. And that's usually when the outdoor daytime temperature does not exceed 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So if it's staying cool, 50 degrees Fahrenheit or lower, bees aren't going to eat much of the liquid feed. That's the trigger to start giving them the winter bee kind. Now, for me, that's going to be usually November, December. I'll make that switch. Let me say this, though. I really don't panic about putting a winter bee kind on. Remember, it's really cold where I live, but I don't really panic about putting a winter bee kind on there much until Christmas or a little bit after Christmas, because my bees should have plenty on there. You know what I mean? But that's usually when I try to put my winter bee kinds on, about December, about maybe around the first day of winter is a good time to shoot for. Yeah, good question. By the way, thank you, Neil, for your donation. I appreciate that super sticker a lot. Yay, super stickers. I wanted to share with you guys about the winter bee kind, by the way, because a lot of you ask me questions or you ask our staff questions about it. And it's kind of interesting. So let me just explain things to you if you're new to the winter bee kind. A lot of people say you shouldn't open your hive up if it's cold outside. And yeah, that's kind of true, but totally not accurate, because what we never want to do is pull a frame up. A frame of brood should not be pulled out of the hive unless it's 65 degrees Fahrenheit or warmer. It can damage the developing pupae. So in the wintertime, though, you're just going to pop the top off and you're going to remove the old winter bee kind. You're going to put the new winter bee kind on. And so you're not pulling any frames up. Bees are not warming the inside of the hive like we do our homes. They're warming in proximity of each other, called a cluster, tightly snuggled together, getting warm. And that's why you can take the top off, remove a winter bee kind, shake the bees off, put a new winter bee kind on. Heck, you only do it in 30 seconds or a minute. I've done it for years and it doesn't bother the bees at all. But wear a hat and a veil, sometimes one might fly up and sting you. So, but yeah, feel free not to worry about that at all. You don't want to keep it open, and pick a good day in the wintertime. I'm out there changing my winter bee kinds, 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Just open it up. Not such a windy day. Don't go out there when it's raining, snowing, windy. Pick a decent day when it's good for you. So that's a good idea about winter bee kinds. Hey, Neil, how are you? David, someone I know was giving a couple of queens away. I know how to do a split, but I don't have one single hive with enough bees. Is there a way of taking bees from 2 or 3 hives to make one? Absolutely, Neil. Let me write that down. That's a good YouTube. I think I wrote that down already, combining hives in August. So yeah, so what you want to do, let's see. So are they queenless? It sounds like you know where you can get a couple of queens, but giving a couple of queens away. Okay, so you might give them away. So what you might do is just combine the hives with newspapers. It's not as important if they're queenless, but it doesn't sound like they are. So combine the hive by separating them with a newspaper when you put them together. Cut a couple of slits in there with a pocket knife. Let them kind of get acquainted with each other through that newspaper slit. And if you have 3 hives, you can newspaper 3 of them together. Just put a newspaper slit, newspaper in between 3 boxes. And then try to shake the bees gently into 1 or 2 boxes, whatever you prefer. And that would be 1 hive with 1 queen. So you're going to have to kill the other 2 queens before you combine. But yes, you can do that all day long. Those of you that have nucleuses, I share that you guys should always have a nucleus to go along with the hive, so you can play with your nucleus like a citizen scientist. You can experiment with that little nucleus. Hey, when you want to, facing winter, you want to combine the nucleus, you can do it the same way. Sometimes people say, well, it won't fit on a 10-frame box. Move the 10-frame nucleus into a 10-frame box and then combine it with a newspaper. You might have to have 10 frames and just put 5 that are filled out with bees on it above it. So a lot of ways to do combining hives. Also, one more free tip for you. It's better to combine going into winter because you can always split in the spring than it is to keep them two little weak colonies separated and lose them both in the winter. You're not splitting nothing. You've lost two hives. So let me say that again. So it's better to combine going into winter two little weak colonies. And then if they do well, you can split them in the spring. But don't try to overwinter two weak colonies. Good question. I love answering questions like that. Hey, Tracy Blevins, how are you? Will a queen limit the amount of brood she puts in a 3-frame nuke versus moving the bees to a 5-frame and the amount of brood she will produce? Absolutely. Yes. Yes. It's just like anything else. You can only put so much gas in your car and it starts coming out coming out of your car. But it's the same way with queens. She wants to lay a lot. If she's a new queen, she wants to lay 1,000 to 2,000 eggs a day. She will if there's cells that the colony prepares for her. They prepare cells by drying them out, polishing them, sterilizing them. They even put little propolis on the walls to sterilize it. And if she has enough room, she'll lay more. But if she's limited to no room at all, she can't lay as much. So it would help you to have more brood if the queen had more room to lay. Absolutely. Yes. Good question. Well, my good friend Tom, how are you, Tom? Wow, Tom, thank you for that donation. Always so much appreciated. I think I have a thank you thing that I'm supposed to show. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, goldenrod is in bloom. Wow. Where's my goldenrod? I got nothing. I got ragweed, but I don't have any goldenrod yet. And my friend John said in Arkansas they got goldenrod. Maybe I need to look around in Illinois more. Some leaves are beginning to turn, and it's time to get ready for winter in the northern Minnesota. That's how I think I learned how to say Minnesota correctly. Let me try it. Minnesota. Got to draw that O out. You and Sherry made it a super bee season. Thank you. And thank you for the kind and patient help you've given me. Well, thank you, Tom. Tom, you're a great student. You really have learned and followed the things that I have encouraged beekeepers to do. And it has really paid off for you. Tom told me the other day he went from like a handful of hives. I think he's got 30 or more now. It's insane. And they're strong, and he's got so much honey. And it is amazing. You don't have to do all that much stuff to transition from being a bee haver to a beekeeper. When you start learning the biology of honeybees, the anatomy of the colony of the bees, and start implementing some simple techniques, it really does pay off. It does. I love seeing that too. Jessica Fairfax, how are you? I processed a couple of frames of honey in late June and it's all crystallized. Any idea why? Any idea? And is it still good? Very good question, Jessica. I love these questions because I know that some people take it for granted that everybody knows these answers. Well, sometimes it depends on the nectar source as to how quickly that it will crystallize. There are certain floral sources that crystallize much faster than others. And so you don't ever know where your bees are going, right? And so they could go to one of those places that the nectar, when they dried down, it might crystallize really fast. I remember I had sunflower nectar one year and it crystallized on me. It didn't harden up in jugs. Even before I got it bottled, it was horrible how fast it crystallizes. It also depends on other factors, though. Honey can crystallize at the right temperature, like around 56, 57 degrees. When you make creamed honey at that Fahrenheit, you make that creamed honey. That creamed honey is not really creamy. People think you add butter, you put air in it, you make it creamy. No, creamed honey is just a honey that is very small granulars of sugar. The crystals are so small. You actually grind them down smaller than your typical crystallized honey, or you can buy those already small and then introduce them to honey. And those crystals replicate very quickly at a temperature in the mid 50s. And so if you go above that or below it, it doesn't crystallize as much, or maybe never. And also it depends on, sometimes there's particles in your honey. Those particles, like pollen grains or something, can also be a form. Crystals have to have something kind of to start them off crystallizing. So it could be things like that. but temperature is a big deal. Any idea? And is it still good? Is it still good? Okay, all the Beak Squad, you know the answer. Is crystallized honey still good? Yes, absolutely. That's how you know it's real beekeeper's honey. That's right. When you get honey that sits on a shelf for thousands of years and it doesn't crystallize, something's different. Something's not right about that honey. Yeah, all real honey's natural, raw beekeeper's honey is going to crystallize. And yes, it's still good. It's just a different way of spreading it on your toaster, putting it in your coffee. We have customers that just love crystallized honey. And it's just one of those things. So it's still good. Good question. I'm glad we can answer that too. Carolyn, how are you? We are in a honey flow. Good for you. But the weather's been so bad that the bees are emptying the honey super. Should I be worried for my winter bees and feed pollen and syrup? Oh, that's a good question. So the scenario is that you had some, good honey. You had some good honey flow. Everything's going good. Your bees are storing honey. But now that it's kind of not such good weather, your bees are emptying the honey super. What we call that is they're bringing it down. They're taking it down to the brood nest area, using it to raise brood, to live, to exist. I've got a cicada being really loud near me. So, that's understandable that they do that. They're going to just take that honey down for themselves. And so I don't know if I would be too worried about it. Feeding them is not a bad idea, but if there's a honey flow, there's not much need to feed them. Hey, Mark, good to talk to you. I talked to Mark, I believe today, answering some questions. That was really good. And good. Thank you, Mark, for that donation. Appreciate it. Gosh, you guys are so kind to donate to our cause. That really means a lot. We appreciate it so much. I've been wanting to redo the back of this building. I may take some donations. I mean, the wood is so aged and water beaten, but it's getting patinaed. I'm patinaed. My hair is patinaed. I'm like a copper top hive. I start looking different as I age, I guess. D Green. I have been feeding 1-to-1 for a week now, and they have filled the box. Everything looks good. Should I put a super on to give them more room and continue feeding? They seem to be growing in numbers. Wow, that's really, I started feeding 1-to-1 when my dearth hit. They emptied those jars like, boom, big half-gallon jars overnight, just emptying them. My feeling is that bees really need it. They really do need that. And colonies become big. They're eating a lot during the summer, and all at once the dearth hits. So you're at a place that I would say it's up to you. If they're still eating it, but I don't know if I would give them another super and let them fill what you're giving them. I don't do that personally. I have no need to do that. I'd rather feed my bees the amount they need, like you're feeding an animal, your dog or cat. I'm not going to fill up their bowl with 10 pounds of food. I'm just going to give them what they're going to eat that day, kind of. So I give them enough food to eat as they go along, but not store it. So, yeah, I don't think I would give them that extra super. I'd just keep feeding them. Good question, though. Melissa, how are you? I haven't been able to work my bees since the end of June due to medical issues. Sorry to hear that. Hope things are going well. Went out today to observe and saw gray pileup debris at the entrance of one hive. Any idea what that could be? No, I don't. A gray pileup. It could be anything from pollen that they did not like, that they got rid of. It could be something like debris from anything like wax moth debris that the bees might be cleaning out. It could be anything from dead drone larvae, maybe that they're this time of the year, they're getting rid of drones. They don't want to raise them anymore. Gray pileup debris on the entrance. I'd have to see a picture. I think if I saw a picture, I'm really good with pictures. But just I'm imagining what a gray pileup is, and all I see is just a blob from a science fiction movie sitting on your on your bottom board, and I can't picture what that is. Junebug. If a hive has had varroa mites, small hive beetle, etc., do we need to sterilize frames before reusing them? No, 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 and no, not at all. Think of it like the viral mite and small hive beetle. They are pests. They're not bacterial. They're not fungus or anything like that. So they are just critters that once you get rid of them, they pretty much go away. Now, I will say that small hive beetle can lay eggs and have eggs in frames, and those eggs can multiply. And so you might want to freeze frames like small hive beetle or wax moth eggs to kill those eggs before you reuse the frames again. Varroa mite is a parasite. Exos, exoskeleton is a external parasite. The mites are going to die with the bees. Like if you don't have any bees on a frame, the mites really can't exist any longer. They're going to die pretty quickly. So you don't have to worry about that. Small hive beetle eggs is really what we're concerned about, or wax moth eggs. Good question. Yeah, I like that. No reason to it's hard to sterilize a frame anyway, right? You don't want to use bleach. You don't want to use what can you use? I like the question though. Long Island beekeeping. How do you check for mites if a hive does not have a lot of bees? Okay, that's these are great questions. I need to write these down. I'm going to go back and look at all these. These are so good. I love these as a content creator on YouTube on beekeeping. These things always trigger me to want to make a beekeeping video. It's getting darker. I got a light right here. My face is changing. But so the question, I really like it because a small number of bees traditionally wouldn't have a lot of mites, because you would think mites have to reproduce in capped cells of a expanding colony, right, in the brood of the bees. So without that, mites can't expand. However, it's very likely that the mites did expand back when the bees were expanding, and now the bees are shrinking for some reason, and you stick out all these mites. They do exist. Hard to treat them because most of your treatment labels will specify how many frames you need to have, like 5 frames of brood or 10 frames of brood, put them where the most bees are. And you're like, I just don't have any bees. In that case, why don't we drop down to something that's a little more controllable instead of using some harsh chemicals, powdered sugar, dusting? Try that. Do that once a week for 3 or 4 weeks. See if you can make some of the mites fall off, since we don't really want to bring out the big guns, because we don't know how to do the math. If the label says this much per 10 frames of bees and we don't have that, it's hard to reduce it. They don't tell you how to change that. There's other ways you can do it. You could, just kind of powdered sugar dusting. Try to maybe use a screen bottom board to help the mites fall off. Use something more like a green drone comb, if that's possible. It's that the queen can lay a little bit of drone brood to capture some of the mites. Try to drop down to some of the more mechanical ways that you could control mites rather than use harsh chemicals at this time. That would be my suggestion. But I know exactly what you see. I get that question asked a lot. Camp Mana. Camp Mana. Hola. No, that's not right. It's not hola. Aloha. I'll get the right country here or state in a minute. I'm new to raising bees and we lost a queen. The 2 deeps are full of honey. Should I swap some frames out so she can lay eggs? Good question. Good question. So hive's going good, right? Raising bees, but lost a queen. 2 deeps are full of honey. Got to be some brood in there, doesn't it? No? Well, I would say if it's just full of honey, you're going to have to either extract out a couple of frames. You need to introduce a new queen, right? You can move over a frame of eggs from your other hive and let them raise a queen from the eggs. That's going to take 30 days from egg until that queen matures, takes a mating flight, starts laying. So you're 30 days out. So if you get a mated queen, though, from somebody close by or have it shipped to you, then you could put the mating queen in there. Within 5 days, she's laying eggs. I prefer to get that mated queen in there. It sounds like they've been without a queen for a while. Let's get some brood going as quickly as we can. But yes, manipulate the frames, move frames around between your 2 hives so that it's not honey bound and the queen can't lay. That is a good question. Freedom Apiaries. Pat, how are you? Eastern Tennessee. Eastern Tennessee. I grew up in Western Tennessee, in Memphis. First year beekeeper in Eastern Tennessee. I now have 5 hives and 1 nuke. That's cool. They have plenty of bee bread pollen, but no honey stored. Should I feed 2 to 1 for them to store, and should I put in additives? Thank you. Okay, let me think how I would do that. Nothing stored, Tennessee. I think I would feed 2 to 1. If you had some way, in the old days, we would go and we would pick up the back of the hive and see how much it weighed. Kind of like it's just a feel good thing. Like, oh, this feels heavy or this feels light. And so you might feed them 2 to 1 and see if they take it and if the hive becomes heavier. The reason we feed 2 to 1, by the way, everybody, Beak Squad, is because 2 to 1 is 2 parts sugar, 1 part water, so they can dry it down faster and store it as a resource during the winter. They can store it. It takes them longer to dry down 1 to 1, so 2 to 1, they can store it quicker. I don't use 2 to 1 anymore because I feed them winter bee kinds. I feed them 1 to 1 all fall, drop into my winter bee kinds all winter. So that's the way that I do it. But if you want to build up some honey stores in the hive, 2 to 1 would help a lot. Absolutely. Yep. Offshoot 100. In soap and water. Oh, is soap and water sufficient for cleaning the harvest buckets, or do we need to find a way to sterilize them? Do we rewash or sterilize new jars before filling them with honey? 2 ways to answer that question. The public health department answer is need a double bowl sink, wash them with soapy hot water, rinse them in a Clorox bleach, rinse them again, let them dry really good. And that's how you wash dishes at a restaurant, so forth. That's the answer, okay? That's my official answer. Now, I'll tell you what I do, because I'm not selling my honey this year. It's just my honey for me and my equipment. What I do, I use soapy water, and I clean all my equipment with cold soapy water. If it just has honey and wax and stuff in it, we're not working with mayonnaise, people. we're working with something that's already an antimicrobial, it's antibiotic anyway, right? So we're already working with something that's kind of sterile to start with, honey. And so I just use soapy water, sponge, wash it out, rinse it good, let it dry, boom, done. As far as jars, though, you want to present jars to your customer that are very clean, and sterilizing it. I guess you mean with some bleach or something. If you know how to do that, put them in the dishwasher. A lot of beekeepers do that because it's got the real hot drying cycle to it. Something like that is a safer way if you're selling it to, your customers. You want the best product and cleanest jars for your customers. Play it safe. Keep them clean. Good question. Sherry once took a food sanitation class because of a work thing that she was doing. And after she was done with that, she came home and she said, "We're never eating at a restaurant again." Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Hank, how are you? Hank Anderson. Wow, it is getting dark. A neighbor was gifted a colony with 10% mite count, 8 and 10 frames with spotty brood and no honey source. Is there a time to treat the hive, supplement feed, and have them strong enough for winter? Well, that's really sad. It doesn't sound like a gift to me. I mean, it has a high mite count. Spotty brood means a failing queen. No honey stores means if you had a queen, it'd be hard to raise any brood. This hive has a lot going against it. But anyway, maybe gift is a pun. But first of all, get the mite count down. Secondly, let's get that queen. Let's get a new queen in there. Figure out if our queen's failing. And then thirdly, let's start feeding them. The more we feed them, the more they're going to build up. Yeah. Hey, Big Daddy. What's the best way to get your bees to move up and build out supers? 4 colonies for new colonies, and they are doing the same. Okay. That's a tough one. I've made a lot of videos on this one, in fact. moving them up. Last year, I made some videos this season of putting a super in the middle of 2 deeps. You can try that. The trick, the key, the example, the magic. Oh, this is so easy. All you have to do is make sure your hive is super strong. That's the only way to get supers pulled out. They have to be busting at the seams. They have to. Here's an old thing I remember somebody told me, like when you want to get something so full, it's like tightening a piano string, a wire. You tighten it as tight as you can until it breaks, and then you back off a little bit. You want a colony that's so full of bees that they're this close to swarming because they're so full. Then you put a honey super on, boom, they fill up the honey super. It's crazy how fast they fill up. A weak colony, not a lot of resources, not a lot of bees, not a lot of 12 to 17 day old bees to make, wax. They can't fill it out. So strong colony is the answer to filling out big supers. But you can always put a little wax on your super frames to help. Spray them with a little sugar water. That helps. Take off the queen excluder for a minute and let them go up in there. That will help as well. That's really good. All right. We got Gregory. Let me check my time. Oh, yeah, we got time. I have 2 hives, and one of them has consuming all of their resources. I have nothing left. And we've just went into our dirt a couple of weeks ago. Should requeen. Now, this, Gregory, is what I face every year. And what most people face is that your bees will store, things in the summer. They'll store it. But like when our dearth happens, maybe after this little pickup we've had of nectar recently, but when that ends in a few weeks, maybe a week, my bees won't really have anything to go get. Goldenrod is not impressive, just not much in the fall. And they're just going to consume everything they have because they're a big colony, 40, 60,000 bees, right? They're going to consume what they have stored for winter. That's why I created the Winter Be Kind. That was my only solution. I just couldn't figure out any way to do it. That worked so perfectly for me. So now I don't sweat it. I'll feed them to get them to raise bees of winter physiology 1-to-1 with my additives. They raise a lot of bees of winter physiology, and then I give them the Winter Be Kind to go all winter long. As far as requeening, I'm not sure I would requeen. I talked about requeening. Good time to requeen is June and July, and take them into the winter with a new queen. That's what I would do. Absolutely. Oh, thanks, Melissa. That's nice of you to leave a donation. Thank you. My concern is Waxmoth. If there is any way to send pictures to you, please let me know. You guys are amazing and so helpful. Waxmoths, waxmoths, waxmoths are something that happen when the colony becomes weak. Okay? Waxmoths are not a problem when a colony is very populated because bees don't like wax moths in their hive. They will carry out the adult wax moth by the shirt. They will pick up and fly away with wax moth larvae, little ones that they see because they're a strong colony. Wax moth only really start doing damage on very weak colonies. So wax moth that take over and devour your frames means it's not a wax moth problem. It's a hive problem. The hive got too small. Wax moth are just a cleanup crew. Really, they come in, they clean up a hive once it gets too weak. So that's the deal. Now let's not confuse, Melissa. Let's don't confuse wax moth larvae with small hive beetle larvae. They look similar, only small hive beetle larvae are much smaller. They're like a ½ inch at tops. Wax moth larvae get kind of big, and the small hive beetle have those spines on them. So there's a little difference. Maybe search the internet. You see them side by side. You can tell the difference. So make sure you have wax moth larvae, not small hive beetle larvae, because then you want to treat it and handle it differently. Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't seen any wax moth at all. Now, I did have a hive that had a little tray on the bottom that I forgot to remove. And some wax moth got down in there and kind of did their thing. but didn't mount to anything. Oh yeah, you guys have some good questions. David, how are you, David? Good name, by the way. I'm just coming out of winter. Wow. All right. We envy you. With a lot of capped honey still on the supers. Should I extract, say, half to give space for more while they're building up numbers? Yeah, that's a good question. No matter where you live, David, it happens to us here as well. Um, Let me get off on a rabbit trail here. I've always been surprised why beekeepers harvest honey in the fall rather than the spring. I have always thought bees collected all this honey to get through the winter in the summer, right? And then we go out there and take it off and put it in bottles and wonder why our bees died. I don't know. Am I the only one that thinks that way? So I read some literature once. I don't know how thoroughly this was practiced, but some beekeepers way back, I'm talking 17, 1800s, were talking about they harvested their honey in the spring. So I don't know if it's the kind of the farmers market mentality. We have harvest in the fall mentality, you know, tomatoes and corn and pumpkins in the fall. So there needs to be a jar of honey with that. And so we go out there and take winter stores off of our hives. I mean, I do it too. Don't get me wrong, but I don't do it as much as I used to. I really don't. So that's my concern. Maybe it's going to be fine for you to let them go through the winter with this honey, and yes, extract it in the spring. Give it back to them, extract it, bottle it, make room for more. Absolutely, David. Do that. That'd be fun. Yep. It's getting darker. Why is that? I can't even see my screen anymore. Let me bump up my screen. It's auto adjust. Oh, wow. Now I can see things better. Now I can read. Starlight Hill Farmhouse. I have a top, wait a minute. I have a top 2 gallon super water feeder, gallon, I guess. But it attracts a bunch of super large black ants. What do I do? Super large black ants have super large eggs too. Aren't they? Maybe, I don't know, carpenter ants and all those kind of big black ants like that. Yeah, I stopped using any kind of reservoir feeders from the top like that. That's why I only use jars. That's why I invented the Burns feeding board. So I can have a screen and I can use a jar. Everything is contained. My pollen is in the sugar to keep so it doesn't attract small hay beetle, ants, and all that. It's just laid right there. Yeah, I think that if you have an ant problem, you need to cut down the attracting, whatever's attracting the ants, get rid of that. So find a different method to feed your bees. One way I suggest might be to community feed your bees away from the hive 20, 30 yards out. Bird bath sticks, one-to-one sugar water. See if that they can fly out there and gather that while you get rid of the ants stop. Most ants really aren't a problem with bees. They just kind of go in there and find whatever sugar water is close to them, but they don't really bother the inside of the hive unless they're fire ants. That's got to be careful of fire ants. Randall Lane, hi, how are you? What outside temperature before wrapping the hive? Thanks. Yeah, very good question. I am in the midst of working on a project to answer questions like this in a very public way, but that is a good question. There's no answer to that. Now, I will say, I'll give you my opinion on wrapping. Wrapping a hive can be detrimental to a beehive because if you wrap a hive and you go through a winter where you have warm ups, like every now and again it warms up, then the wrap works against you because the sun doesn't hit the wooden hive and it's insulation working backwards. And so I've not really been a big fan of wrapping hives. I know a lot of people feel wrapping hives helps. They're better off if they're wrapped. But I would say if it's a small colony and you're worried about them getting too cold, for me, I'm never going to wrap a hive unless I see temperatures getting well into single digits, 9 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. Then and it's a weak hive, struggling hive, you might want to wrap it. So it's all a matter of philosophy, really. Bees are quite capable of getting through winter without being wrapped. That's what they do. They cluster. Single digits, maybe. I'll say single digits Fahrenheit for that good question. I need to turn this light down. I'm getting blinded here. Hang on. A little better. I'm so orange. Oh, here's a question. Oh no, here's a new one. Sam, how are you? How many winter bee kinds do you need per winter? That is a good question. I'll tell you my experience on really, really strong hives. Mine are extremely strong. They will go through 4 or 5 a season, and that's with a medium-sized honey super on. That they'll go through that honey super, which is what 40 pounds of honey, and then they'll eat that 4 of those winter bee kinds. They will. I've made videos you can watch in my past winter videos, but they'll eat through a winter bee kind in 1 to 2 days, empty. 1 to 2 days, 4 or 5 pounds is just empty. It's crazy. I'd like to be a different color than orange. We have different colors available. Oh, that's better. Oh, well, that's gone. Now I'm all natural lighting, which was better to begin with. So that's cool. It just fell over. That's why I appreciate your donations. Looks like I'll be buying a new light. It's still on. It's just lighting up the ground. All right, Great Lakes gutters. Gutters? We need gutters. The storm damaged our gutters. Hello, I have a question for you. I have 2 hives that are rejecting queens. Any advice? Isn't that a frustrating situation to get into when you're trying to get a queen accepted, but they keep rejecting a queen? The only thing I know to do in that case is to get a frame. It's a queen introduction frame. It's the size of, maybe a medium frame. And it has a place for you to set your queen cage in and open it up. And it keeps a queen only confined inside of this screened area. And the idea is to get the queen kind of associated with that hive by her pheromones, queen mandibular pheromones getting dispersed, and they start accepting her. And eventually you can open the little door at the top of that frame and let her walk out and keep your fingers crossed that they will love her. That's what I recommend when you just can't get a queen going. It's crazy, isn't it? In the middle of a honey flow, sometimes it's hard to get a queen established because, they're like, hey, we need room for honey. We don't care to have brood right now. Sherry says, be sure and check us out at honeybeesonline.com. That's very much appreciated. And Sherry, you think we ought to give away, you want me to give away I think we ought to give away one of these Beak Squad cups, coffee mugs. Let me see if I can get this going here on a giveaway. Okay. How about we use let me get back here. How about we use the hashtag mug, hashtag MUG, leave a comment, hashtag mug, and then we'll select a winner for a Beak Squad coffee mug. Look at that. You can have a Beak Squad coffee mug. So leave a comment, hashtag MUG. Guys, I want to thank you so much. We've still got a few minutes, but I just want to thank you guys so much for being a part of my YouTube channel. Behind me over there is my 120,000 silver play button. And I remember last November, I think it was November, when we were watching it get closer and closer. And I've worked on YouTube since 2008, to get any kind of traction. I'm a 20-year overnight success. But so you guys did that. You just really blew my channel up with being so loyal. I appreciate that. And that it keeps growing. I think I'm at 123 plus thousand subscribers. Does that sound right? I don't know. But yeah, it's really going well. Yeah, I think it's 123,000 subscribers. So thanks so much. I'm buying time to get you guys to be sure and click on the comments, hashtag mug, and we're going to give a coffee mug away. Let's see here. I've got too many screens open. Okay, so let me share a screen to get this set up right. All right. Share a screen. Oh, I got all these things I got to go. Oh, got a little issue here. Stand by. Wow. New computer, a different computer is making me kind of complete all these answers now. Oh, no. Later. Let me see if I can get past this little security check. Maybe I can. Let's try. All right. Whew. Wow. Wow. There we go. All right. Let's try this. We're going to click on the button and see who is the winner of our coffee mug. Here we go. Let's start collecting the comments. Oh, I got to hit draw. Okay, here we go. Oof. There we go. Now I got it working. Technology. Wow. Who's going to win? Oh, Gene. Gene won. No last name for Gene, but Gene. We'll be drinking coffee together. Way to go, Gene. All right, Gene, thanks so much. And be sure to email longlanehoneybees@gmail.com. And Sherry will send you out the Beak Squad coffee mug and we can have coffee together. That's great. That's a good time. We also want to remind you guys that we do have the Beak Squad shirt and we are taking a survey to see if you're interested in it because we're stuck with a lot of these Beak Squad coffee mugs that aren't moving. We don't want to get a bunch of shirts but if you're interested in these shirts, leave a comment in the section. Yeah, I'd like to get a shirt. Hey, Tom, thanks so much. Here's for a new light bulb. I recommend your classes and mentor program to everyone. And did I say light bulb? Here's for a new light bulb. I recommend your classes and mentor program for everyone and anyone. They are well worth it. Well, Tom, that's very humbling. And thank you so much. Appreciate that a lot. Gosh, David, thank you. Towards the new light. Oh, yeah, the new light. It's not a bulb. The whole stand, these big, these big studio lights. It just crashed over there. I appreciate that. I look better without the light, quite honestly. So I like that. All right. Oh, here we go. Tiny Trail Farm. David, loved EAS. We just finished our honey harvest here in the mountains, ordered my winter bee kind boards. Looking forward for healthy spring bees over the winter dearth. Yeah. Wish I knew who Tiny Trail Farm is that I saw at EAS, but I'm glad you enjoyed EAS. I want to tell you guys, I got a couple of minutes here. I gave a talk at EAS that was a little different than honeybees and swarms and all that. I gave one on 4 things that took me 10 years to learn that was more about, and Tom, you would have liked this, more about philosophies, things that bees have impacted my life and has made me a better person. And I was like gambling. I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to really be bad if it's bad. People maybe want hands-on bee stuff, and I'm giving them this kind of like these philosophies of life and stuff. It was received so well. It really was. So many people came up to me and told me how much a difference that talk made in their lives. And I was so happy. I felt good about giving that talk too. It was, sometimes you give a talk and you have to state a science and sometimes you're not feeling it, but you have to make the presentation. This talk, I was feeling it. Oh, you know me, when I get to feeling something, I was pumped, on fire, and excited. I loved it. It was so much fun. Well, good. I'm glad you were at EAS. That's great. Oh, Jay Humphreys, not a question, just a thank you for what you do and help provide and educate us. Well, I appreciate that. I've told Sherry, I wish there was more than one of me. I am so limited by me being just one person. If I had an editor, if I had a cameraman, I could do so much more to create so many more videos. I'm just, Chuck, how are you? Lots of great questions answered tonight. Thanks, David and Sherry. Yeah, okay, I appreciate it. It was a lot of good questions. You guys were great. Anytime somebody asks a question and I give an answer, there's so many more people that are watching saying, I'm glad he asked that question. I'm glad he answered it. I wouldn't have done it. I got your beautiful mug and I drink coffee with it every morning at work. Oh, love your videos, live stream. Thanks, David and Sherry. Thanks, Jessica. 2 people own one of our coffee mugs. Jessica and me. Wyatt Earp. Oh, that's cool. Great. And don't change your background. Yeah, I shouldn't. It is patinaed. I get it. I like it. I still got my picnic table that I started making my YouTube channels on years ago. I still have it. It's cool too. Thank you so much for what you do. I appreciate you guys. Your accolades are so appreciated. They really are. I do enjoy this. I can't tell you how much I do it. Hey, Karee, my daughter Karee. Karee actually started she was one that helped me start raising queens together. She and I went and met with Joe Ladshaw and learned how to raise queens. And Cree has made a lot of queen bees and grafted a lot of larvae. Hi, Cree. Good to see you. Great. Where's Vera Lynn, my other granddaughter? She always likes to watch me. I didn't see her tonight. I got 14 grandchildren. Come on. I could get more. I could double my subscription just by having my own children and grandchildren subscribe. Dr. John Zavishlak and myself, we're great friends. We have a lot of fun together at EAS. He has 8 children, and I have 6 children. Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? We have such fun telling people that. All right, guys, it's 8 o'clock. I would love to talk to you and keep going. This has been a great, great, great live stream. It really has been. I don't know what you do to energize me, but whatever you do, you really energize me. I'm telling you, you make me want to make more videos. You make me want to think through science. You make me want to help you more. Gosh, I love you guys so much, and you're just so inspiring to me. I love it. I love you so much. All right, so check out our website if you ever want to drop by our website, honeybeesonline.com. We appreciate you guys so much. Please watch my video tomorrow. Be waiting with bated breath. I'm going to make a video tomorrow that you're going to really enjoy. I went out there and did a whole bunch of different kind of things with bees and did a little study. I want you to see the results of the study. So be sure and look for that tomorrow. Otherwise, I'm going to say good night to you guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll look forward. Join me every Thursday, and we're going to have a great time together. I'll see you next time. Thanks so much, Sherry, for helping us out tonight, too.